Welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development, where we share original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. We hope you join us often for practitioner-oriented content around all things related to leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with Human Capital Innovations Podcast. If you enjoy the Human Capital Innovations Podcast, enjoy ad-free listening by going to the Patreon page, and please consider contributing even at the producer or sponsorship level. And please leave a review. Thank you for your support. Welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. In this HCI Podcast episode, I talk with Darrin Jahnel about developing amazing teams with a dynamic culture. Darrin Jahnel, welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast.
John, thanks for having me. I'm fired up to be here.
It is a pleasure to be with you. We've been prepping for this for a long time, and today we finally have the chance to sit down together and have a nice conversation around amazing teams and developing a really dynamic culture within your organization and within those teams. You're joining us from upstate New York. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. As we get started, I wanted to share Darrin's bio with everybody. Darrin Jahnel is the founder and CEO of Jahnel Group, a 150-person software consulting company headquartered in Schenectady, New York. Darrin leads with energy and is maniacally focused on creating an amazing work environment for his team. He earned an undergraduate degree in business administration from the University at Albany and a master's degree in information systems from NYU Stern School of Business. And I could go on and on, Darrin, but I think I'll pause there. You've done a lot. Anything you would like to highlight or call attention to from your background, your personal context, before we dive on into the conversation?
Sure. So yeah, I think, the biggest context is, what do I do now, right? I run a software development company. So, we have about 150 people on our team, and we develop custom software for businesses. So companies come to us when they can't find a product off the shelf that meets their needs. They'll come to us and we'll build it for them custom. Sometimes we'll do the entire project ourselves, and sometimes we'll supplement an already existing software development team, right? I'm a co-founder of this company with my brother, Jason. My brother Jay and I grew up here in upstate New York, grew up playing sports, basketball in particular. And that really shaped a lot of, our beliefs and the type of company we wanted to build, right? We wanted to build that special team atmosphere, and we're serial entrepreneurs. We got some really bad failures under our belt, but we're doing something really cool right now. And I'm just excited to be here and share any stories that, in order to add value to your audience.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. And yeah, we've all been there. We've all had the setbacks, right? And it's the old cliche. It's not how many times you fall down, but it's how many times you get back up. It's cliche, but it's true. And it's just a matter of learning from these experiences, and hopefully we hone our abilities and skills and capabilities as we go. And it sounds like you're doing some really cool stuff there at Jahnel Group. So kudos to you for that. Now, as we get started we're going to talk about developing amazing teams with a dynamic culture. Maybe you can share a little bit about what you've done to develop those types of teams within your own organization and within client organizations.
Yeah, sure. So again, I mentioned my brother and I grew up, playing sports, and we were lucky enough to be a part of a few special teams, sports teams growing up. And to me, that's when people are at their best and when they're the happiest, when they're a part of a special team. And it doesn't have to be a sports team, right? Could be a fraternity, a band, a startup company, right? When you're a part of a special team, a special group, I think that's when people are their happiest. I know that's where I feel at home, and I feel the most fulfilled in life. And there were so many times in life where maybe I wasn't a part of a special team, and it just it didn't feel right. It took me a while to figure out the differences between being on a special team and not. And I think a lot of people can't verbalize it, but they know when it is that special thing and when it is not. So when we set out to build Jahnel Group, we wanted to recreate that thing that we experienced from our sports career, right? And so I think, John, the number one thing that it boils down to for us is adding the right type of people to the team, right? Companies talk about core values and all of this, but at the end of the day, it boils down to, I want to be around people that are happy, that are, that are excited about life, that want to have fun, right? I don't want to be around people that are difficult to be around. And you can boil all the core values talk down to we could talk for ages about that stuff. But at the end of the day, I want to be around people that are easy to be around. And the thing I often talk about, John, is, right, think about if you went on a trip, right? And you went on the trip with some of like the most annoying, draining people that no matter how great the trip and the accommodations and the 5-star hotel was, that trip's not going to be fun because you're around people that are sucking the life out of you. As opposed to if you went on the worst trip ever, your flight was canceled, the hotel sucked, everything was awful, but you went with the most fun people that you're going to have an epic time, and there's going to be stories that you're going to be telling about that trip for ages to come, right? And so I think that's the number one thing that we focus on, John, is I want to be around and I want to work with people that are fun to be around, easy to be around, and people that I'm happy to see every day. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and having kind of shared core values is essential to that. And it doesn't mean you need to surround yourself with people who are just like you. I know that's, some people might be listening and saying, well, wait a minute, but if I just, associate with people who I'm really comfortable around and really have fun to be around, maybe I'm not challenging my thinking. Maybe I'm not having the type of team that will push us to be better and achieve at our top levels, et cetera, right? And so I think it's a matter of balancing, these different components. Absolutely, we want to have a team where everyone can show up to work, bring their whole true authentic self to the work that they do, be a part of a team, feel safe to contribute in meaningful ways, and that there's this foundation of shared values. So we don't have to be the same. We don't have to be identical in any sense of the, of the term. But what we do need is to have, a common shared vision and set of values around what we're trying to accomplish, and that we're committed to work together to do it. And recognizing that, sometimes we're going to disagree. Sometimes we're going to really push back on each other hard. Those types of things actually can often push us to do the most creative and innovative things within a team dynamic. And I can't help but relate it to a show I just started watching with my wife. There's this new Amazon Prime show called Daisy Jones and the Six. I don't know if you've seen it or seen previews for it. It's this fictional mockumentary series about this rock band, loosely based, I think, on Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac and such. Anyways, it's that kind of a dynamic, though. And you have these two lead singers who just like push each other's buttons constantly, and they kind of hate each other, but they also kind of love each other, and they just push each other, and they just create amazing music. And I don't want to be in a workplace environment where we're like at each other's throats to push each other towards great achievement. But there's something about the tension in an effective team that can also lead to really great things too. Any thoughts about that?
Well, yeah, it's funny you bring that up, right? Because when I think back to my sports career, I very much bought into that really hard-nosed, challenge your teammate type of mentality, right? I grew up on Michael Jordan and Larry Bird. These guys were tough guys. Some people would just say, many people would say, Michael Jordan is a prick, right? He's not a good guy, right? And so I think in a sports environment, or maybe a tougher environment, maybe like the military or something like that, that type of mentality and attitude can bring out amazing things. It can bring out the best in people, but it's tough. It's tough to be around that. It's not necessarily the way I want to live my life, right? So John, we've actually changed a little bit on that. Back in our sports days, my brother and I were very tough and hard-nosed. And I mean, I could even think about like fights in practice with our teammates. But it was still that special team. In the workplace, though, now that I have to do this for the next 40 years of my life, I couldn't keep that level of intensity up for 40 years, not to mention people that probably quit here, and it just wouldn't work, right? You think about, like, you hear about Steve Jobs maniacally driving his team, and many people hated him, but he got greatness out of them. You know, I think, so that's like one school of thought and one way of doing it, and I think that makes sense when you're trying to change the world the way Apple did, when you're trying to win a championship, when you're trying to train Navy SEALs, right? But when you're trying to run a company like us, and we're trying to create an environment where people can create an amazing life for the long run, we got to really be careful about how tough we go, right? And we've kind of changed our thinking on that. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, I think it's a balance. And I think as long as we don't, you know, I was talking with an executive not too long ago, a couple of years ago, maybe. And he was sharing with me his philosophy on hiring and how he knows when he's made the right decision. And his kind of bottom line foundational, you know, litmus test was, who would I love to go camping with for the weekend? And he said, if I could see myself going camping with them for the weekend, then I know they'd be a good person to work with and a good fit for the team. Now, I get where he's coming from as he was saying that, but also red flags start going off in my head. I'm from a diversity, equity, and inclusion standpoint. I'm like, ooh, that is trouble, because if that's your litmus test, then all you're doing is surrounding yourself with people who are like you, who act like you, talk like you, look like you, have the same similar personalities to you, and that isn't a good thing. That is going to drive down the effectiveness of any team, whether it's a high stakes kind of team like you were just describing, or kind of a more just run of the mill everyday work team. And so there has to be a balance. There has to be some sensitivity to making sure that we are not just replicating ourselves in our team, so that we have diversity, cognitive diversity, we have other types of forms of inclusion that can then lead to good outcomes. But I agree, you don't always have to have this like hard charging kind of team atmosphere. Some people function really well in that atmosphere. Some people do not function well in that atmosphere. I'm one that would actually not function very well in that kind of an atmosphere. I'd much rather work with a team of people who I know I care about them, they care about me. They don't need to be like me, I don't need to be like them. There's no like thought policing. We're not like having all these different litmus tests around ideologies and that kind of stuff, but we're there, committed to do the work. We know we're trying to help each other be the best we can to achieve good, cool things. That's the kind of team I want to work on and be a part of. And I guess it's not a mutually exclusive thing, is it? Like, it can be somewhere it's on the spectrum of how the dynamics might play out.
Sure. Let me try to tweak that camping analogy a little bit, right? If you say that my litmus test is, would I enjoy going camping with them? To me, that lends a little bit more to, you know, getting people that are all the same, right? We want to hang out by the fire, we want to drink beers and tell stories and whatever, right? I'm going to get people that are very similar to me. If I tweak that a little bit, you know that silly show, The Amazing Race? I don't know if you know that television show. Mm-hmm. How would I feel if this person was assigned to me as my teammate in The Amazing Race? Now we're talking about something different, right? Because this isn't going camping and sitting around and talking. I want to talk sports and basketball. I want to find other basketball players, and those are the type of people I want to camp with, right? That's not leading to diversity. But on The Amazing Race, I'm going to appreciate somebody who's from a different country, somebody who's maybe nerdier than I am, somebody who's got different skills, right? And we're going to enjoy each other's company, and we're going to get along. We're not going to kill each other. We might argue, and we might, you know, it's a very intense thing. I never even really watched the show, The Amazing Race, but I was trying to think of like a way to illustrate, well, no, I'm happy that this person is on my team because I think we're going to get along. I think we're going to work well together. And I think they're going to add value. That might be a better lens than looking through, hey, who do I want to go to the bar and drink beers with? Right. Those are two different things. I don't know. What do you think?
No, no, absolutely. And the reality is, like, there's a whole industry around executive retreats and team building and those sorts of things. And a lot of times there are components of, being out in nature or ropes courses or, those sorts of things. Like there's nothing wrong with the outdoors component of what that executive was talking to me about. It was just like what you were just describing. That was a little bit, potentially problematic. But yeah, absolutely. I like the amazing race kind of analogy because you sometimes you got to get people out of their comfort zone a little bit, put them in close proximity to people that are maybe different than them and push them to shift their thinking a little bit. And that's really healthy. But it can be done in a way that's empowering and inviting and positive, right? It doesn't need to be a negative thing, which I think is what I hear you saying as well. And that's great. I think that's fantastic. I've been a part of those retreats as a participant. I've been a part of those retreats as the person putting them on, and they can be really, really powerful opportunities for people. Oftentimes, the whole point is to help people from very diverse backgrounds see, hey, we can actually, even though we don't seem to see eye to eye on many things, we can actually get to the root of what we do agree on and come together and actually do some really cool stuff together. And that's really awesome when you see that within teams that come in kind of dysfunctional. And then over time, over a week, an intensive weekend of these interactions or whatever the format, you see them bonding and getting to know each other and learning to appreciate each other, even though they may have vastly different, political, social, economic, religious, whatever kind of beliefs or, way of viewing the world that has maybe caused some friction in the past.
Yeah, that's great. I agree. And we go out of our way to try to create these types of situations where somebody's true colors will start to shine through, right? And that's when you're, maybe you're out of the office, maybe you're at a restaurant. How do they treat a waitress? How do they do, we just got done with we have this big week-long celebration of our culture. We just got done with it last week. And, how does somebody do when they don't have a lot of sleep, right? How about if they have a couple drinks in them? How about if they're under pressure, right? And you're starting to see people in different situations. And I think that's where their true colors really shine through. And you start to say, wow, I'm really connected to this person because we've been in all of these different situations. And no matter what, we always find a way to figure it out, to work well together. And I really enjoy, being around them. Doesn't mean we're not going to argue, maybe. We might go at it. We might be competing. We might be disagreeing. But at the end of that, there's no bad blood. There's, we realize that we're working together for the same common goal. And I think when you put people in those situations, that's when you can really figure out.
Yeah, fantastic. And so that really gets into kind of the second half of what we're going to discuss today is you have these great teams, people that you genuinely want to be with and work with. So you don't have the Sunday blues, and you're actually getting excited to go back to work on Monday to be working with this team to do some cool stuff. That's fantastic. If you've been lucky enough to be a part of a team like that, you know what we're talking about. Like it's really great. Unfortunately, many of us, probably most of us, have also been a part of teams that weren't like that. They were the exact opposite. It was like soul sucking and draining and just so hard. And even if you love your work, even if you love the organization overall, your immediate team creates so much of the dynamic around which you experience the workplace. And your immediate boss, like all of that plays such a huge role that we really have to foster a really dynamic, healthy, safe, innovative culture for teams to be able to thrive. What are some of the things that you've done to help foster that within highly effective teams, especially if you have any examples of like where a team was not functioning particularly well? Maybe there's the friction, the tensions, but you were able to help them turn it around.
Sure. One of our core beliefs here, John, is people make deeper connections when they do something extraordinary together. So I actually mean the extraordinary, outside of the ordinary things that they do in a life. Think about some of the people you got closest with the quickest, right? A lot of times it's when you did something extraordinary together. Maybe you went on a trip to China together, right? You didn't really know them. 2 weeks later, you come back, you feel bonded to this person because you both experienced this thing that you're not used to, and you did it together, and it fast forwards the relationship. Sometimes it's shared suffering, right? I think back to my sports moments, double session practices, running until you vomit. And, that's not fun. But at the end of that, you feel bonded with this other person, right? So we're going out of our way, John, to create these type of situations. And we're being intentional about trying to create the environment where these types of extraordinary experiences can happen. Sometimes it's events we throw, sometimes it's trips we're taking. Just last week at our culture event, right? We've been hyping up this beer pong tournament, right? And we've been having qualifiers for a year. And so for the finals, we literally brought in bleachers, and we set up an arena for the finals, and there was $10,000 on the line. And there was a moment, John, where one of the kids, he had to hit the final shot. He hit the final shot, and he got absolutely mobbed. We have crazy video of this. We're going to be releasing a highlight video of this. And it was one of the coolest moments of his life. Hell, it was one of the coolest moments of my life, and I was just watching, And so now we've gone out of our way to try to create an environment where this special thing could happen, and then it happens, and you're watching it unfold. And this is a moment that they'll never forget ever, right? Have you ever done anything, shot anything for $10,000? I've never done that in my entire life, right? And I played sports at a high level, and I've never been that much pressure on me in one moment. And this kid came through in that situation, and the crowd mobbed him, and he's never going to forget that. And anyone that was there is never going to forget that, right? And so we're trying to be intentional about creating those types of moments. And I have more anecdotes if you want more silly ones, but I think we do a really good job of that.
Yeah, well, that's so fun. I was just in Vegas over the weekend with my wife. We were attending the WAC tournament, so the March Madness conference tournament leading into the NCAA. My university was won the regular season championship. High levels of anticipation going into this tournament to go on to the NCAA tournament, and they were in the semifinals. They were up by 21 points, and the other team just started chipping away and coming back, and it was like this most improbable comeback. And then they're down by 3 with like 5 seconds left. The other team goes down, shoots a 3, makes it, and gets fouled. Ends up making the free throw and winning. And it was soul crushing for us. Like that was a hard way to lose. But man, it was so fun to watch the other team. And I mean, you can just imagine the excitement level. It was hard for us, but it was wonderful for them. And it was just, I couldn't help but just like feel a lot of pride for them, even though it wasn't my team, because of what they'd accomplished. And that's kind of what you're describing. And we can create small wins like that for our teams. It doesn't have to be a big, huge, grand winning the tournament thing. It can be all sorts of things where we just can highlight each other and what we're doing and accomplishing and cheer each other on. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. That's a brutal moment for you. Or did you go to Sam Houston? Is that where you went, or where?
Utah Valley is where I'm a professor.
Utah Valley. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Oh, that's brutal when you lose a game like that,
But it was fun. Well, Darrin, this has been a pleasure. I know at the time I need to let you go here in just a minute, but before we wrap things up for today, I just wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, your team, and then give us a final word on the topic for today.
Yeah, sure. So, if you want to connect with me, I have a personal website, darrinjahnel.com, DARRINJAHNEL.com. And then also our company website is jahnelgroup.com, JAHNEL group.com. If you need custom software, or you just want to connect with me, talk about culture, anything that, I can do to help, we're just trying to serve every day. My final word on the topic, John, would be, if you're looking to build a special team, it all starts with the right people. So don't be one of those people who just sits back and says, I can't hire good people. It's so hard. Nobody wants to work, and just whine about it. It is up to you to find the best people. Speak to more people, connect with more folks, interview more people. It is a numbers game. If you speak to 200 people, I guarantee you will find a star. So don't compromise when it comes time to build your team. Speak to more folks. It's all about your recruiting funnel, and you will build something special.
Yeah. And people want to work for great teams. That's the bottom line. So it is possible. Thank you, Darrin. It's been a pleasure. I encourage the audience to reach out, get connected, find out more about what Darrin can do for you. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week. Do you enjoy the Human Capital Innovations podcast? Enjoy ad-free listening by going to the Patreon page, and please consider contributing even at the producer or sponsorship level. And please leave a review. Thank you for your support. Thanks again for joining us for this episode of the Human Capital Innovations podcast. I hope you stay healthy and safe and that you have a great week.